Josh, if engineering were a greatest hits album, I think you would be a collection of Dolly Parton vocals, but remixed with Japanese orchestra and Halloween sound effects.
Nice, sweet music to my ears. Welcome to Engineer vs. Designer.
The podcast for designers,
engineers,
makers, bakers, and people who create self-sustaining food-growing ecosystems for the home. I'm Adam.
And I'm Josh. This week, our very special guest is a guy who has created the equivalent of a biodome. You know, it's a big dome, polyshore, vegetables.
Yeah, we got it.
It grows food and is self-contained ecosystem right in your kitchen or living room. Yep.
Speaking of the venerable polyshore, Josh, destroy, please, the tummy rumblings of ignorance with the cheese whiz of knowledge. What have you got for us this week?
All right, this episode of Engineer vs. Designer is brought to you by Autodesk Fusion 360, where industrial and mechanical design unite to create a fun, fresh modeling tool. Get a free 90-day trial today at fusion360.autodesk.com. Now, guess what, folks? You'll find us on Twitter at EVD1, of course. Yeah. Last week, insert name here, retweeted our episode with Boss Tools. He won an EVD t-shirt, he did. If you want to snag one yourself, head over and retweet this episode. You'll be entered into a drawing for a soft cottony Engineer vs. Designer t-shirt.
Spread that love, people. Yep. Now, maybe this other Josh R, we'll call him Josh R, of Aqualibrium can help us figure out if this three-eyed fish in the creek near me here in DC, if those have anything to do with the pumpkins in my garden, because they are they're a little intense.
There, huh?
A little bit terrifying.
Radioactive
and one of them
pumpkin,
is a little bit bigger than my car.
A radioactive pumpkin. Yeah. I wouldn't make a pie out of that one, but maybe he can help us figure it out. What do you think?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a boggling, thought-provoking question for you.
Yeah.
If you could form plastic into beautiful sculptures, but you had to eat a stable diet of triple fried celery sticks and bargain bin ranch dressing for the rest of your life, would you do it?
It's a head scratcher. I guess it depends if I could do it with my bare hands.
With the power of your mind and your bare hands. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd take a hit for the team then, and I would
Wow. All right, I feel like that tells us a lot about you. But before we go any further, let's find out a little bit about this thing called Aqualibrium. It's a Kickstarter project you've just started. What is Aqualibrium?
So Aqualibrium is basically it's an indoor garden designed for urban living. So we wanted to give people the ability to grow like substantial food, like tomatoes and peppers, in a product that you would actually want to put in your house. They'd be proud to put in your living room.
And you've got a 3-person team put together. You yourself. Tell us a little bit about the crew's background. Where are you coming from?
Well, I was born and raised in New York City. Benyam, who's kind of the long-haired surfer-looking guy in the video, is from the Dominican Republic. Lives there in like a small surf town called Cabarete. And Jared is from Westchester. Jared and I actually went to college together. And Benyam and I have known each other since we were toddlers. So it's a good... Yeah, it's funny how things work out that way. But I mean, we have a great dynamic. We're all, super excited.
Well, tell us about that process. Tell us about that dynamic. How did you go about approaching this design? What was your process like?
Sure. So, basically the idea got started, if I could just backtrack, I guess, to that. I go down to the Dominican Republic all the time. I'm half Dominican. And I went down and I met up with Benyam, and I saw what he was doing. He was building these, the aquaponics systems into people's backyards as landscaping.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they were really, really cool looking, and I thought it was really pretty. And then he picked me off, I think it was a red okra plant. And I took a bite of it, and it was like the best thing I'd ever had in my life. So I said, you know what? I want this in my house. We're going to have to shrink this down and make it look cool. And then that's really how Aqualibrium got started. And then within the month, I had known Jared for a couple of years. And we got lunch, and I knew he was really passionate about environmental issues and all that stuff. And he actually was able, he had the business background. He was able to do Excel, whereas I am not. And, so he got brought on, and we've had a fantastic dynamic ever since. Farming is kind of, I mean, personally in my blood a little bit. My grandfather grew up very poor in the Dominican Republic, and had a third grade education, and he made a success of himself as a farmer. And he worked tireless hours, and that was really inspirational to me. And I guess ironically, I'm looking to make my way in that same industry, I guess.
Wow, very cool. So we're going from backyard landscaping to self-contained ecosystem that can go anywhere. In a home, in an apartment, wherever, grow your food year round. You're from the future, I take it, right?
Yes, I am. Here's a spoiler: Google goes Skynet, and
okay,
we're done for. All right, so tell us a little bit more about how this closed loop cycle works. It's really unique. There's really just a couple design requirements for sustaining life. Fill us in. How's it work?
So basically, the cool thing about our system is that it can be used hydroponically or aquaponically. But I guess I'll break down the
yeah. What's the difference there? I'm actually curious about that.
Yes, sure. So aquaponics is basically where you use the fish and the fish nutrients to grow the plants, and then the plants act as a biofilter, cleaning the water and also uptaking the nutrients, and then they deposit the water clean back into the fish tanks.
Okay, so there's two parts here. There's an upper part and a lower part. The plants are up top, the fishies are down below.
Exactly. Right. And hydroponically, you would have to, instead of fish, you would have to just put in nutrients yourself. But but it's a little more annoying because you do have to take the water out. You have to flush the water once a week, and it's not exactly completely organic. Whereas the fish, it's really for the lazy person, right? All you have to do is feed the fish, and it'll take care of itself.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it blew my mind. I saw it, and I was like, how is this not world news that you can do this?
Well, now, okay, so there's that is very, very cool, and that answers one of my questions, which is why you weren't using the term hydroponics, which I think is what more people are familiar with.
Exactly.
And the other half of my question, first of all, is just I think when most people think of this, they're thinking, when they think of hydroponics, they're thinking of illicit plants, shall we say. Is that something that comes into your marketing at all? As you're thinking about this, are you ever treading around that subject at all? Do you find yourself explaining yourself frequently or anything like that?
Well, it's funny. You guys are actually the first people to straight up just ask on the web.
Really?
But the truth is, look, I mean, our product is designed to grow food and vegetables. People will do with it what they will. And that's certainly, a business that's Colorado, Washington, that's the way,
sure.
That's the way the future seems to be trending. So if that's what people want to do, then that's what people are going to do. But, that's not what we've designed it for, but it's not, it's doable.
Well, that's a good answer. So the prototype looks fantastic. It's very kind of, like we said, futuristic looking, smooth white plastic all over the place. Can you tell us tell us about that decision? Why did you go with that particular kind of aesthetic for this thing?
Sure. So, I mean, the final design is actually going to be completely clear because we thought it would look super awesome that way. But the white prototype, basically, it's made out of a strong ABS. We basically wanted it. We didn't want to design it so that it would be obsolete in a year or two. This thing is built to last. Which is important, and it's also built to be completely stable. So if you knock into it or if you hit it or something, it's not moving. So that was also really important because you don't want this thing toppling over and destroying someone's living room or something like that.
Right.
But so that was really important. But also about the design, we had we wanted to design something that you could fit, like we said, in anyone's house, but that actually worked to grow substantial amounts of food. Yeah.
And so there's the business aspect to this also, coming up with a concept that people are going to want to put in their house. Of course, it looks cool. So, but there's, the size, the design, development process. What parts have you found yourself enjoying more, and what parts of the business process have been a sort of a struggle to figure out and a challenge to overcome?
Well, the cool thing about starting up your own company and all this other stuff is that you really enjoy everything, like even the most mundane stuff, like finding a warehouse or whatever. But but the design process and the non-business side is certainly really special. Bringing something to life is a very special feeling, and it actually took me a couple of weeks after we got the prototype before it really hit me that something out of our imagination, was sitting right in front of us. But I mean, in terms of challenge, I would have to say that just deciding the right size for the system was tough, because make it too big and no one's going to want to put it in their house because they've got no space. Make it too small and you don't really have the necessary requirements to grow tomatoes or something substantial. So we really had to hit a sweet spot. And then, I think we did. I think everyone's got 2 feet in their house, even up against the wall or in a corner that they can spare.
What size is this? It's about 2 by 2?
Well, it's about 2 by 2 and it's about 4 feet tall.
And what makes you think, I mean, there's this whole urban gardening trend thing, people doing all kinds of window gardening and chickens on their roofs and whatever. It's just a lot of crazy stuff. I know that here in my particular area, there's a pretty urban area called Arlington that is battling with trying to change local laws to allow chickens in this pretty dense urban area, which is pretty wild and crazy. Why do you think that is so attractive to people in the age of Whole Foods?
Well, the Whole Foods is expensive. And there's something to be said about knowing, I mean, Whole Foods obviously is a great, store, everything's organic, all that other stuff, but there's something to be said about having it in your living room.
Doing it yourself,
and it's as local as it gets. And, this is just our first step, because we think that, it's a one-time investment, but it eventually pays itself off, and part of what Ben Yam really wants to do, and I love this vision, he says, look, if everybody in an apartment building has 1 or 2 of these things, then you could, start to create really like a self-sustained building, right? Where maybe one floor will grow tomatoes and one floor will grow peppers, and then you can have like a vegetable exchange. I mean, that's, into the future, but I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, no doubt. So on the Kickstarter campaign right now, you're almost there to the $108,000 goal. You guys are so close. You have about 300 backers. So there's, of course, the manufacturing after this, the fulfillment. How are you going to be using the funds, and what's the next step?
So the funds are going to be used to make the mold for the product. It's a big piece when it comes to plastic, and it's a complicated piece. So the molds are expensive. So basically, most of it will be going to the mold, and then obviously to fulfillment. And then, hopefully we keep, we're going to start, marketing it to schools. We've had a lot of interest from schools. We're actually developing a curriculum that can be used to teach kids about the system and all that other stuff. Nice. We've had some interest from some restaurateurs who actually, I can't get the name right now, but people who want, to put this in their restaurant. And, some of them are pretty interesting, high up people, which is very exciting. Just the continued development of new and innovative products. I really want to make it so that anyone can have a garden. And, this is step 1, but there's certainly a lot of other steps. And, we also do a lot of building in Haiti and the Dominican Republic for poor communities who, in areas where it hasn't rained for 5 months, we build a system, and now they have at least a source of food and fresh fish, because you can use tilapia and all this other stuff. So that's really important to us as well. We're trying to build the, kind of the charitable giving back aspect of our company into it from the start. Well,
what would you say is the most challenging thing you've done so far? What's the most difficult part of this process for you?
Oof, let's see. I mean, there's a different challenge every day. It's but the most difficult thing, I would have to go back to just saying getting the size right. The size was really, tough. And, the prototype was very expensive. So we really only had one shot at, getting I mean, obviously, we could have altered it a little bit, but we really wanted to get it right the first time. And so that was really nerve-wracking. And then it's like, well, if you make it this much smaller, you lose this much depth, and then you can't grow this plant. So it was a really stressful process in that respect.
So tell me about the choice to go with Kickstarter as well. Why Kickstarter? Why not to some other funding method?
Well, we wanted to hold on to our position in our company, and that was important to us because we have a way that we want to do this, and if we go to venture cap or someone like that, they're going to take a lot of what you have and maybe distort the vision. And Kickstarter is an amazing platform where it's an amazing new platform where people with great ideas can go and not only get orders and funding, but get some visibility for what they're trying to do. So I think that was really important to us too.
Sure. So what advice would you have for somebody interested in doing something similar? If you have some the next great indoor gardening idea, what's the first step somebody should take?
Well, the first steps are simply just to pass that mental hurdle and go for it. We're a generation that was brought up to avoid risk. Wear a helmet, be safe, don't do this. Pay your dues. But the truth is that's not how business and life are done. If you don't take the risk, you'll never know what could have been. So really taking the risk is the first step, and committing yourself to actually taking your idea and doing something with it.
So good speaking with you, man. Having you on the show today has actually been more fun than the time Adam accidentally ate a questionable looking tomato and started glowing for a couple hours. Thank you once again. We're looking forward to seeing this project go nuts.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Josh, I'm pretty sure that my radioactive 657-pound pumpkin is the direct result of those radioactive fish in the creek out back.
You sure need some aquaponics up in your crib.
That's right. I'll get some good fish from somewhere cleaner, I guess. And in the meantime, I need to figure out how to get as many county fair ribbons as I can out of this thing.
Hey, funnel cakes.
I don't do those things, man.
Funnel cakes, grab me some when you go, buddy.
Whatever.
All right, if you'd like to send Adam your advice on long-term emotional impact of raising an oversized radioactive pumpkin, please address that over here to EVD Media.
And if you'd like to send us fishing poles, worms, or anything else to catch three-eyed fish, please address those to EVD as well. Let us know what you think, who you'd like to see on the show, and what your favorite kind of pie is at EngineerVsDesigner.com or on the EVD YouTube and or Vimeo.
And if you'd like to see us carving expert-level jack-o'-lantern faces, be sure to like us, +1 us, tweet us, or whatever else as social media has been correlated with overdoing it for the sake of just sharing a photo.
Josh is a pumpkin ninja. Does it have black belt pumpkin carver? This show was edited by the masterful Simon Martin. If you love our taste in music and need some tunes to propel you through that work week, be sure to check out SolidSmack Radio every Tuesday on SolidSmack.com.
We'll see you next week, and remember, without engineers, designers would be carving pumpkins with modern-looking pieces of glass shard.
And without designers, engineers would be carving pumpkins, yes, but with dull yet brilliantly derived quadratic equations.
Really? I actually recommend power drills in that case. Gets the job done way quicker.
The doorknob cutter has a purpose for Halloween. It's really it's good for eyes.
The doorknob cutter.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Actually, I'm not even going to use... I'm not going to do the spoon thing and, dig out the guts with a spoon anymore. And this year I'm using an auger.
A production of EVD Media.